The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call. 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990. And yeah, we'll try and get it right this time. I will try and get it right this time. Joshua's following along with me and getting the captions correct. But you can only train a host so much before you got to just throw in the towel. You got to love it. Okay, let's see. The S&P 500 is now down 18.68. The 10-year Treasury down 5 basis points, 3.56. It was all the way up to 4.3. And we had an idea that this was going to happen, so we're watching it. The mortgage-backed securities are up 13 basis points. Remember, whatever direction the bond goes, the interest or the yield goes the other way. So bond is up to 13 basis points. That means interest rates are down just a little bit. And every day at this time, OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, and timely and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. Yesterday's locked numbers doesn't tell us anything about APR, doesn't tell us anything about points that were paid to get these rates, just the actual locked rate, according to OBMMI. 30-year conforming, 6.54, down a little bit. 30-year jumbo, 6.419, down a little bit. 30-year FHA, 6.479, down a little bit. 30-year USDA, generally this one's a no down payment loan, 6.432 was the 30-year. 5.893 is the 15-year conforming. Stay away from that loan. I know I get some people that really want it and will help them with it. But just remember, there's strategic ways that you can make the 30-year loan look like a 15 and cut down on your effective percentage rate, EPR, and not have the mandatory higher rate, which can be problematic if your family gets into any kind of a tight situation, a tight jam. Best loan on the market, though, yesterday locked at 6.27. That's the 30-year VA loan. Obviously, you have to earn that one. You can't just apply for it. But let's take a look at why all these things happened. It's it's equally as important, maybe not more important, but equally as important to understand why these things are happening. That way you can follow it and see what makes sense for you and your family. Powell said yesterday, again, he had that speech yesterday at 10:30 California time. Powell said that smaller interest rate increases could start as soon as December 14th meeting. This kind of tells us, it kind of telegraphs what we've been telling you, that we see a 50 basis point hike at the next meeting, as we've been hearing from so many other Fed members. He tried to continue to talk tough, saying that there was more work to be done and the Fed funds rate would end up higher than previously stated. But this was a big change in his tone. It's amazing when you're a Federal Reserve chairman or chairwoman, even the tone of the way you say things, they parse every single word, but then they also look at what's the tone. So trying to talk tough, but would also watch what he does. While some out there were saying there was nothing new in this talk, he's pivoted and was clearly less hawkish, means he's not nearly as harsh. He also said that the cumulative impact of hiking rates from 0 to 4% has not been fully realized because of the lag. Have you heard that anywhere before?
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Powell may have had an early look at the inflation data that came out this morning, and it might have influenced his tone. We hope he's starting to see the light. As a result, bonds rallied sharply. And the inflation number that we're talking about, that's the personal consumption expenditures, the Fed's favorite measure of inflation. Personal consumption expenditures, PCE, showed that headline inflation rose 0.3% in October, which was in line with estimates. The year-over-year reading declined from 6.3 to 6% and is down from the peak of 7% in June. The core rate, which strips out food and energy prices, rose by 0.2%, which is below estimates of 0.3%. Core PCE fell from 5.2 to 5% on a year-over-year basis, which is in line with expectations. This is down from the peak in February of 5.4. Inflation heading in the right direction will continue to do so. We expect interest rates to improve one inflation report at a time. The bond market rallied almost 80 basis points yesterday. Bonds up, interest down. We got the bond market reaction we wanted, but it came yesterday after Powell's talk and in anticipation of a cooler inflation reading today. Bonds are only slightly higher this morning, but we got the move we wanted. Jobless claims. This is a biggie. Initial jobless claims, which measures individuals filing for unemployment benefits for the very first time, decreased 16,000 to 225,000. It's important to note that this is still a new crop of people filing for unemployment benefits from last week. Additionally, last week was Thanksgiving, and if it were not for the holiday, initial claims would have likely been higher. Do you think anybody was filing for unemployment on Thursday and Friday? Probably not. And once they are let go, they're having a hard time finding a new job. This is evidenced by continuing claims of those continue to receive benefits after their initial claims rose 57,000 to 1.61 million. This is a good figure as it measures 2 weeks ago. They've now risen by more than 260,000 over the last 8 weeks and are at the highest level in 9 months. Challenger Cut Report. This is a company that goes and measures all job cuts. They showed that there were 77,000 job cuts in November, with the majority in the tech sector. There were 53,000 job cuts in tech last month alone, for a total of 81,000 this year, the highest amount of cuts in a month and cumulative for over 20 years. Now, here's another big piece of information that goes into the delayed data that we share on inflation. The Apartment List National Rent Report. Apartment List reported that rents fell 1% in November, the third straight monthly decline. The decline is consistent with what we've seen seasonally in the past, but year over year, rents have moderated up 4.7%. This is well off the 18% pace we saw at the peak. Additionally, the vacancy rate has increased from 4.7 at its low to 5.7, still below the historical norm, but showing a softening in the rental market. Shelter costs are the biggest component of the inflation reports we receive, but they have still been adding upward pressure because the lag. Even though in the real market, shelter costs are coming down, we think the starts to get realized in January or February and will start to really help inflation come down more significantly. Job report strategy, technical analysis. So we're going to get the big jobs report tomorrow. The market's expecting 200,000 jobs created for an unemployment rate to remain at 3.7. I think it's going to be weaker and that the unemployment rate's going to move up to 3.8%. Especially after what we saw in the ADP report yesterday. So we're watching every bit of that. That is the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. And the strategy comes from us, the individuals. You got to give us a call, though, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990.